So why Grab decided to sponsor this event? I mean, a startup event.
Yeah, I think you'll probably hear it later when I'm on stage as well, but encouraging the ecosystem to grow is something that we care a lot about, because when we first started 6-7 years ago, we didn't have this kind of support, and it was very difficult to grow as a startup without, whether it's investment support, partners, and the entire ecosystem. Okay. Am I good now? You look best. Thank you. So this is something that we care a lot about, and we're trying to contribute back to. Whether it could be from all the mistakes we've made that we've learned from, that we can help hopefully share with the new age of entrepreneurs. Whether it's via a Grab platform that we can partner with to give them access to users, technology. Whether it's Grab Ventures to see if we can help them grow their startups. They're all things that matter to us, because at Grab we've never thought of what we are doing as a siloed activity. What we care about is making sure that Vietnam, Southeast Asia at large can continue to grow together. Because the more we can do together, the better everyone's lives are going to be. And all we care about is doing it better and faster. And of course, as a partnership, much better.
You mentioned about the growth together. So how do you think about the growth together? Because now they are very messy and also conflicted with the traditional model and the new model like Grab. When you said that we can grow together, so can you explain more? Can we grow together?
Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you for clarifying. Right, I think let me explain what I mean by together and what end outcome. Right. For us, the North Star is always trying to figure out how we can serve the customers that we get access to, 600 plus million in Southeast Asia, better with new technology, new business models, new innovative ways of approaching and solving problems that we all face every day, right? That is the North Star. When I talk about together, I'm talking about many different companies are trying to solve this problem differently. And especially in this day and age when there's so many new companies that are coming up with more innovative solutions, which are potentially sometimes starting from scratch, or even from bigger companies that are looking to innovate themselves, we're all trying to solve this customer problem. And when we come together as partners to making and improving things going forward, that's what I mean by together. Now, you were referring to the fact that sometimes some companies have different approaches, and we don't always agree with each other. And that's completely fine, right? What we are looking for are partners who understand the approach that we're taking, which is technology-based, innovation first, pro-consumer, always putting the customer as the number one. Those are the folks that we think will help Vietnam move forward towards Industry 4.0 much faster than those who are focused on historical ways of working.
Why Vietnam? What good about Vietnam? Doesn't want to get the best out of it.
I think why not Vietnam? Let me step back. I'll give a bit of framing on what Grab has about, and then I'll talk about Vietnam, right? At Grab, when my co-founder and I, Anthony and I, started the company a long time ago, we were very, very clear that Southeast Asia was going to be our focus. Why? Because I've spent many years working at different MNCs, different big global companies that never prioritized Southeast Asia. They always thought that Southeast Asia was either too small or too difficult to put an effort into. We believed otherwise, right? If you look at the region as a whole, right, we have more than 600 plus million folks here. It's huge. The population is larger than North America in total, right? The population is larger than EU in total. And at the same time, we are a very young generation as well. I think on average in Vietnam, the average working age of folks here is like less than 45. That is, it just shows that because of that, and it shows in the numbers, and I'll talk about some of them later as well, right? We're more open to new ways of thinking. We're more open to embracing technology, mobile technology, and we're more open to thinking about, forget about the past. Let's focus on the future we're trying to shape together and what can we do there. And particularly in this event, and you will see this, and it's not just Grab that sees this, everybody sees this as well, right? The Vietnamese population in general has been developing a lot of good technology talent, right? Many big companies come here to set up services companies, whether it's IT, whether it's engineering, and we saw that potential even before, which is why we have an R&D center in Ho Chi Minh City, right? So if you ask us about why Vietnam, very simply because one, we care about Southeast Asia. Vietnam is a very important part of Southeast Asia. Two, Vietnam specifically in terms of the population, in terms of the openness to innovation, and in terms of the want to solve things together. It's been a very good journey for us to date, and it gives us more hope to want to do more and more, again, as I said, together.
In terms of expanding your ecosystem, how do you prefer doing it all by yourself or doing it with M&A in
Yes.
Vietnam?
Same questions. When Grab at the first day, what do you get any support from your ecosystem in Malaysia or in Singapore?
Ecosystem
Yes.
with products.
Okay, I'll talk about our journey and then I'll talk about how we're hoping to give back, right? And you'll hear me speak about this later as well. When we first started, it was, let me not sugarcoat it, it was extremely difficult. As I said, not many people understood why we were so focused in Southeast Asia, what the potential was, and what we could do with it. We worked extremely hard to try and find better partners, to try and help educate global partners on what the potential is and why they should.
How hard is it? What do people say to you?
We're crazy, we're stupid, no, never, no, bye. You know, all of the usual rejection things that you get from people who don't quite agree with you. What mattered to us though is we continued to believe in what we were doing, and more importantly, I think we started to show traction. We started to show proof that what we were talking about was not just in our heads, but what the customers wanted and what was actually also doable. Now, with time and more importantly, with those proof points, customer proof points, we then started to develop the ability to bring on board partners. It started first with local partners. We had Vertex, we had Tiger Global Management, then we got SoftBank. Nowadays, you see, Microsoft, Toyota, Hyundai, Booking.com, MasterCard. I'm trying to remember all the amazing partners that we've had today, right? A lot of them now see it, and therefore they're extremely eager to work with us. But during the early days, it was the complete opposite. Nowadays, we get partners coming to us to look for strategic alliances. Back then, we were constantly knocking on doors, and as I mentioned, we constantly got no's. Sorry, who are you? Why? Right? What is SEA? All of these things that we got used to, and that we continue believing in. And thankfully, we're in a position now that we've created this understanding, we've created this trust, we've created this interest, which we then now want to do our part in helping to give back to as well. What do I mean by this? Even though we've been very fortunate to be able to grow and have a lot of impact, we have more than 125 million downloads. So we're in 1 in 4 smartphones on average, right? That still means 3 out of 4 are still areas that could do more with technology. And stepping back, right? Grab only currently touches parts of everyday life. We still haven't managed to impact education yet, right? There's still many different things that people do every single day that we could help with. And we've never believed in doing it alone if we can find partners that are aligned with us and that have mutual benefits to support each other with. We won't go out and look for any partner per se. What matters to us are 2 things. One is the partner understands what we're trying to achieve, they believe in it, and are ethically also willing and wanting to work in ways that are similar to us, which is open, transparent, trust, and all of that. Secondly, the partners also need to be able to give back to that partnership. So we have something to offer, they have something to offer, so 1 + 1 = 3, right? That's generally what we've been fortunate enough to be able to do at a local level, regional level, and also a global level now.
How about acquisition? Would you do it like Baidu or Tencent do? Acquiring small startups to expand your ecosystem?
You know, whenever we have any area that we think we could better serve our customers with, we always have a discussion of, is it better that, the first one is, can we partner to get this done? Are there good partners out there that we could work together with to accelerate the customer
So
impact?
it's equal partnership.
Different types of partnerships. We've done many, many different types, and they're all different for each one. That's always the first approach, because if you can do it together, it'll always be better. If you can't, then we think, okay, can we do it alone, right? Should we? And then if not, of course, we also think, hey, should we then acquire to do that? We've made some acquisitions to date. As you know, Uber this year was an acquisition. Kudo was also an acquisition. We've made partnerships, Mocha as well. We've made many possible partnerships with the names that I mentioned earlier. And we're constantly open to any model, depending on what problem we're trying to solve and what the available options are.
Talking about Southeast Asia, have you ever thought of expanding your business globally? Or have you been asked to just keep your business within Southeast Asia by your investors?
We've been asked many times by many people to go to the States, to Australia, to Japan. Name every country you've probably thought of. Many folks, potential partners, customers, governments have reached out to us to grow there. And we've always said no for now, because we strongly believe that Southeast Asia has a lot more opportunity for growth. And to be honest, we started in Southeast Asia for Southeast Asia, and we still care a lot about it. The reason why Grab has been able, one of the reasons why Grab has been able to grow so much over these few years is because we care about this place, right? We hire amazing folks who understand the local needs of the countries and the cities that we serve, right? And as long as there's still opportunity for us to serve the people and the citizens of Vietnam, of Singapore better, we'll continue to do so. In fact, nowadays, a lot of international companies are coming into Southeast Asia to look for more growth, because they can see finally, one, Southeast Asia, oh, now I know what Southeast Asia is. Secondly, Southeast Asia is growing like crazy, why aren't we there? 3, oh, it's possible to build a regional business in Southeast Asia. This crazy company called Grab has done it now, right? We used to be crazy, now we're seen as, hey, innovators. And we still think we have a part to play in this to help the region evolve even more. And until we believe that the customer's needs are done, we'll continue being very focused on it.
You have a huge ecosystem now. So what's next? How about education or healthcare?
So, okay. I'll frame this in the context of what do we currently have and how do we think about the future, right? By the way, I just noticed I can see myself in that screen. That's a bit scary. Okay, don't look there. Okay. What do we have today? As you mentioned, we have a huge ecosystem. We started in transport, now in payments, food, deliveries.
Yeah.
You mentioned healthcare. At a regional level, we've actually struck a strategic partnership with Ping An Good Doctor. They have amazing technology and know-how from their experiences in China, developing a technology platform that serves the needs for healthcare at a scalable level, right?
Is it a startup or?
No, they're actually publicly listed. I don't know what their exact valuation is. 50 billion
Can you
probably.
write down the name of that company?
The team can share
We
it.
can provide it to Ping An Good Doctor, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
you later.
They are a very reputable company. It's just that we know less about them because we don't use them. Just like how people in the States didn't know about Grab until it became a more global phenomenon. We have a lot to do together with partners like that and others as well. I do hope one day we get into education as well, and I'm hoping we can find good partners for that. To be honest, it's an area that I personally care a lot about. But the question is, what do we do when, right? For us, we're always trying to balance the fact that there is so much more to do in Southeast Asia. Another reason why we don't go anywhere else is because there's so much more to do in Southeast Asia, right? Why go anywhere else? Most other companies look for new regional growth opportunities when they start to run out of opportunities in their own current business areas. At Grab, we're in the complete opposite situation. We have too much to do. Question is then, how do we make sure we pace ourselves correctly and find innovative ways of serving our customers better, which we have decided to do so with a partnership-first approach. Okay? Yeah.
Grab received nearly $3 billion in this year. Do you have plan to IPO in the future?
Why do we always get this question? Okay. Firstly, I think we're in a very healthy position from a funding, financial resourcing perspective, right? So we don't have any urgent needs to IPO. To us, an IPO is not the end game. An IPO would be another strategy in trying to look for resourcing. But because we are in a very good, healthy financial situation right now, we don't have that as a target.
Personally, as a woman starting up in a world dominated by men, what is technology? What is the difficulties did you face in the first time when you raised the idea of Grab? What your family said to you?
My family, very simple. They're like, what are you doing? Why? Are you crazy? Don't. Sit with a lot of care and love. I'll just frame a bit as to why they had those reactions. Then I'll answer the gender-related question later, right? Parents, ultimately, they care for our best interests. I think because I was also in a fortunate position where I had a very good job back then that I was leaving behind. So I was a consultant at McKinsey. And my parents were like, why in the world are you leaving a very respectable job that gets to do very interesting work that's paid well to go spend time on a startup earning nothing, spending time with taxi drivers in Malaysia back then, which unfortunately back then did not have much of a good reputation, right? So they asked the right questions for the right reasons. And we were resilient for the right reasons because we believe we could help change that. And thankfully, they gave us space, or they gave me space, despite the objections, to at least try it out. And thankfully, I'm in a position now to say that it was a risk that was worth taking.
How do you persuade them? What did you say?
I guess you didn't say anything.
Just ignore them.
From a family level, it's just, it's like, yes, I understand. Bye. Go to work, right? No, I think we all have different relationships with our parents, our family. I love my parents, my mom and my dad a lot. In fact, the reason why this idea even came up is because I used to worry them so much when I had to take taxis. My mom was super concerned when I had to take late night taxis. We did manual GPS before smartphones and GPS existed in mobile technology. And it's because of that experience that this idea came about, right? But when we then had the big, hairy, audacious goal to try and solve it with an idea in a way which nobody had any familiarity with, of course a lot of folks said, what in the world are you doing? I guess that's when you just have to believe in the whys of what you're doing, right? If you don't have a good reason, don't bother starting it because you're going to get a lot of crazy rejections. But if you strongly, strongly believe in it, then give it a chance. There is a high likelihood that any entrepreneurial business or idea will not succeed. 6 out of 7 do not succeed. 1 out of 7 do. And it depends on how you look at success. For us, we were fortunate, right? And then I will share why I believe we helped improve our probabilities of being successful. You talked about what is it like being a female in a tech startup, right? To be honest, I never felt any difference because I had the fortune of having a co-founder who, like me, did not care about gender differences, who, like me, only cared about ultimately meritocracy, right? And it never came up as a discussion topic for the longest time because we did not care about it in a way that was bad, right? We did start to realize after the company had gotten certain traction that, hey, we were doing things differently than most other people. Firstly, most of Anthony's directs were actually female for a good amount of time. And we were a company that was 50% co-founder, female and male, and it was like, whoa, what's happening here, right? And to us it was normal because it was just what we cared about, looking for the best people for the right role. But everybody else started to say, hey, Grab, can you share how you got here? For us, very simple. Just hire the best people for the role. Don't be aware of your biases and don't fall for them. And because of that, I think we are where we are right now. It's still a topic that matters to us now that we realize that we can help shape and influence, other companies on how they should think about it.
Tell me more about the biases.
There are always biases in anything that you do, right?
Of the gender. When you hire someone?
So for us, what we do is we're trying to make sure that we're consciously reminding our leaders, not just about gender, not just about race, not just about, I don't know, background, age, name it, right? We're constantly trying to remind ourselves to pick a diverse team because we need to make sure our teams represents the customers that we serve.
Yeah.
620 plus, 600, goodness knows, I don't know what the latest number is right now. 600 plus million people, right? You're bound to have a very diverse set of customers that you need to understand who will always have different opinions from you. And in order to make the best decision, you need to hear different contradictions, options, and whatnot. And that's what we're trying to do. Just to share a bit of facts, the latest, we now have 49 different countries in Grab, as in nationalities in Grab.
Oh.
We're a 6-year-old startup. I have no idea how we managed to do this. And I don't actively say, hey, we need to go hire someone for that country anymore. No, that's not what we do. What we care about is developing a culture that's open, collaborative, conducive to having people of all shapes, sizes, nationalities joining us.
How many are people?
So
women?
you talk about the reason why you started with Grab.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious that have you ever that you will be a billionaire with this model? I mean that.
I'll answer hers and I'll answer yours. 40% women plus 40 plus.
Yes.
So it's healthy. I don't know the exact number. Have I ever thought I'll be an entrepreneur? No, never. In fact, I'm what you call a very. There's a word for this. Apologies, I can't remember. But I stumbled onto entrepreneurship, right? In fact, when we were first talking about the idea that led to Grab, I thought of recommending that idea to someone else until I realized if we actually wanted to do it, if I cared that much about it, I should put my blood, sweat, and tears into it as well. And I did. And we are where we are right now again for very fortunate, thankful reasons. Did I or we do it for what we thought was going to happen today? Firstly, never assumed or thought that we would be where we are today. In fact, we're very fortunate. Just to share with you, when we first started the company, we had a vision of solving safety for taxis in Southeast Asia. And already just solving it for Malaysia was already a huge milestone that we thought was going to take us a long time to get to. By hook or by crook, we managed to solve that problem in about 1.5 years for Malaysia. And if you were to ask me back then if we thought that would ever be possible, I'd be like, yeah, I think that would be a nice dream to have, right? But it happened. And then every time it happened, every time we were able to have impact at a certain scale to hit the next milestone, what then mattered to Anthony and myself and the leadership team that we were able to bring on board was that we said, okay, clearly we can do this expanded scope now. With this power and responsibility that we have now, what should be next? How can we next and best most improve the lives of the people that we serve, the customers that we serve? One of my favorite sayings is, with great power comes great responsibility. You can say it's Spider-Man or some other quote, but it's true to us. And every time we hit a new milestone, we then look at how can we best help next.
You do care
So
about.
I believe that you have faced many difficulties, even troubles during your startup time. So at the hardest moment, very difficult time, who you come with, or what do you think to release those troubles?
By the way, you refer to it like those troubles no longer exist, right?
Yeah.
There's always challenges every single day. It's just that the types of challenges we face changes with time as the company scales, right? But when it comes to how do we deal with stress, how do we deal with difficult situations?
Some specific person you for example.
Yeah, I'm generally a person who doesn't look at any particular individual for inspiration, because many folks have asked me, do I have a specific role model? I don't have one. I do take the approach of looking at whichever leader we can learn from and learning the relevant parts from them, because I'm a strong believer in the fact that nobody is perfect. Definitely not myself, definitely not anyone at Grab. We're all what we call, Anthony and myself call, works in progress, WIP. We're all learning, we're all growing all the time, right? And with that continuous learning and growth and mindset, what I'm constantly looking for is different people I can learn different things from. And it doesn't need to be a leader of another company. It could be a leader within Grab. It could be a Grabber that just joined us 3 months ago, yesterday, that has something new that I haven't thought about, that I realized that, wait, I can learn from this. I need to learn from this. And we then need to learn how to incorporate it into our toolkit and our everyday actions. I think that was...
To talk about you do care about empowering women and care about the female passengers. You even open for female drivers. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, so we, as you mentioned, we want to make sure that we can create an open platform, an open technology solution to create as many opportunities for as many people as possible, irrespective of what their background is. As long as they are honest, honorable people who truly want to look for an opportunity to earn an income, to find ways to spend their time, we embrace them, and we'll do our best to support them with the technology to achieve this. And of course, I think in general, opportunities like this were not as present in the market for females as they are nowadays. And wherever we can, we will continue supporting this, not just specifically for females, but just to make sure that we never ever discriminate for any one particular demographic.
During your time at Grab, have you ever thought of leaving Grab to another organization?
What for?
In Vietnam, lots of people build startup and build a fame, and then they sell the startup and go for another organization for a more higher position.
Will you stay or will you to buy, to sell?
I think that's a good thing about Anthony and myself. We've always been very clear that we're not here to sell, never. In fact, we've now found ourselves in a position where we had the fortune of helping to partner or acquire some other companies. And it's just something that we've always believed in, right? We believe that we can have a lot more impact if we can continue building the best team to chart our paths together. And hopefully, my ultimate end vision is that Grab will become one of those companies that's around for not just 6 years, 60 years, hopefully 100 years, and it's not dependent on, myself to be here to continue that vision. I'm hoping that we build a team, leaders, and Grabbers that can continue to take that path forward without us.
So when was the turning point after you realized that Grab is successful? Turning point.
Everybody asks us, what do you do now that you're successful? I'm like, no. Where, as I mentioned, constant works in progress. We see this as a continuous journey, and in fact, we're the kind of individuals which I don't think will ever say we're ever successful, because there's always so much more to do and so much to learn. Full transparency. And I think if you speak to any of our leaders or Grabbers who spend time with us, they will reflect that that's the approach that we have. And I guess that's why we continue to be able to evolve, iterate, and grow.
Could you tell us what's Grab's strategic vision in Southeast Asia?
What is our vision?
Strategic vision.
Strategic vision. Yeah, I don't know if I talked about this earlier. We earlier this year, did a big launch on something called Grab Platform, right? Which is our strategy for becoming Southeast Asia's everyday super app, together with as many relevant partners as possible. What do we mean by everyday super app, right? I talked about some of the situations where we wake up, we need to go to work, we need to eat breakfast, we need to give kids pocket money, we need to pay bills, we need to, for example, take a charger or a phone that we left at home and get it delivered to the office. Like, all of these are everyday use cases that right now are quite painful to do. And we believe with technology, and scaled operations, we can help make it easier, right? So our strategic vision right now is to become that technology platform that enables all of this to be done more seamlessly and more easily, so that people can then free up their time, free up their money to go spend on the more important things like spending time with your family, right? Spending more time focusing on school, on work, and things like that.
And so what's the specific step to realize the vision?
So as part of the Grab Platform announcement, we talked about, creating Grab Platform, which is a technology architecture with APIs, SDKs, that's built in a modular way so that we can easily integrate with more partners. And of course, based on that, it's a partnership-first approach to figure out what are the most important, painful, everyday use cases. So some of the things that we've recently announced, and there will be more that are coming, I mentioned Ping An Good Doctor for healthcare, which is a huge area in Southeast Asia that we believe requires more attention, right? We did Happy Fresh as well, which is grocery deliveries. Think about how much time right now you have to spend going to a supermarket or a small mini mart, picking up milk, eggs, bread, laundry detergent. If you could automate that and get it delivered, once every month for you, even when you're not at home, how much time would you save, right? Things like these are how we're planning on doing it, via technology, operations, and partners.
Okay, I know you want to build a super app, and there are many services. The new service of Grab is there, but can you tell about the difficult or opportunity of the food delivery? Because I think the weather in Southeast Asia is not for good and not so for. It's not good for food. Yeah.
Food, as in Grab food.
Why you open the new service Grab Food, and why you choose the food deliveries to build a new service? Because the weather in Southeast Asia, I think, is not good for food.
Interesting.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
I'll talk about why, and I'll
yeah.
talk about what the traction has been to date, and I'll address some of your concerns as well, right? Okay. Transportation clearly is painful. It's important, we need to do it every single day. We need to go to work, go to office, go to school, come back. What is more important to us each day as well? We need to eat to survive, right? And more importantly to Southeast Asians, Vietnamese, Malaysians, whoever you are, right? We all care about our food. I will just share an aside. The team via Grab Food got me some amazing banh mi earlier today, and I was so happy. It just made my day, right? And it's just how important food is into the everyday lives of for us. So when we realized that we'd actually developed the largest distribution network of Grab bikers that could be used to solve two other challenges: food deliveries and just general deliveries with Express, we said, why not, right? Firstly, we had a technology platform that we could then build and iterate on to adapt for food. Secondly, we had the most difficult thing that all other global food delivery companies were already desperately trying to build, which is a network of delivery folks. And then thirdly, we had the trust of folks who had already been using Grab for a very long time for their day-to-day needs and could then be expanded into food. We launched food just 5 to 6 months ago in May. We're already the number 2 most used food delivery network in Vietnam as of today. This is in 5 to 6 months. We've been able to achieve what many other alternatives have been trying to do for years because we have the right underlying infrastructure. As I mentioned, technology, delivery network, and trust from our customers. If you think about what this means, right, this is fantastic for our drivers because now our Grab bikers, they get more income opportunities. They can deliver food, they can deliver people, they can deliver things. Our our customers, consumers, with one app, they can pay, they can get food, they can get, themselves from A to B and things from B to A as well. Right? With our merchant partners, right, they're like, hey, fantastic, now we can get access to more business because via Grab Food, they now no longer only need to serve patrons in the restaurants. They can also increase their revenue via technology and the platform that we've built. It's a win-win-win for all. Back to your concern about the weather. Actually, it's not turned out to be a problem based on the customer feedback and the growth that we've had so far. It would be a problem if we weren't doing instant deliveries, right? But because the meals, for example, the banh mi I had just now, it gets delivered in less than 30 minutes, fantastic. And that's generally the experience that we're hoping to deliver.
How many booking per day? Grab Food and Grab Express.
I can't tell you that explicitly.
I know.
Grab is now a super app with many services, but I believe that there is a most important service and services with Grab would want to put more resource than others. Could you share with us?
It's the ones that we're focused on right now. Food, payments, deliveries.
But do the Grab have the most focused sector?
That's not exactly, like, we're focused on food, payments, and deliveries right now.
Personally, you prefer calling yourself a plumber and not a chief of operation. Why?
Ultimately, titles are titles. It's just a name. The reason why I believe in the word plumber is because if you think about even this building, right? What you see is the nice walls, the lights, the furniture, but what you don't see is the electrical pipes, the plumbing behind the walls that are critical in making sure that sanitation happens and you get electricity and nothing smells, right? Without plumbing, without those cables, nothing would work and we wouldn't want to be in this building. At the same time, there are generally things that are not visibly seen, and that's the kind of work I like to do. I prefer to actually spend time with the working team, working on internal health and plumbing. If you do it right, it enables us to continue focusing on our customers. If you don't, customers don't even.
Can you be more specific? You're a plumber, so what do you fix?
So things like people operations, focusing on making sure that our grabbers can be served well, right? Things like our customer experience support, right? Things like strategy, analytics, internal facing functions that help support us to support our customers better.
you're an introvert, but you want to get beyond your comfort zone. Is that the problem?
Okay. Wow, you've got a lot of very specific questions. Yes, I'm a self-professed introvert, a very happy one. And for all introverts who want to be entrepreneurs, it's possible. For all introverts who think that the world is too extroverted, don't worry that extroverts think we're too introverted as well. That's why diversity matters, right? In terms of putting myself out of my comfort zone, I don't think that's specific to being an introvert or not. I think that's critical in order to enable any individual to grow. For you to grow, you need to do something that's new to you, that you're not comfortable with, and therefore is what I call areas that are out of your comfort zone. It's the same for Grab. If we wanted to, we could happily just stay continuing doing the old businesses that we had run, that we'd gotten really good at, and just focus there without going into new areas like food that we just talked about, right? But it's because of this wanted desire to continuously grow, iterate, and learn. We as individuals, myself as a case example, strongly believe in putting yourself in situations where you have opportunities to learn.
You used to say that you really want a market with a lot of competitor, right? But now, in Vietnam market, we don't see any big competitor with Grab. So how do you think about that? Is it boring or left out of behind?
I don't think anybody would say that any of the markets that we're operating in, whether it's Vietnam or elsewhere, does not have competitors. In fact, I think it's a very healthy competitive market, whether it's in food, payments, deliveries, transport, Vietnam, Thailand, Philippines, lots and lots of competition every single day. But I think what we can take pride in is, and it's not an evergreen thing, right? For now, the customers seem to prefer us, and we work hard to gain their trust and their usage, and it's on us to continue doing so, right? Because the days that we stop doing that, that's when we will lose that trust and we will lose that customer preference.
Now related to her question, so what companies the Grabs consider competitors?
So many.
So many.
Yeah, look at all your different
in
ones.
Southeast Asia.
So many. Yeah.
So many.
So many. Yeah.
Professionally, is now good advice to women in startup community. Female-led startup.
That one's a very broad question. Depends on what they need help with. Let's just say if they're having difficulty, they feel as if they're alone as females in the industry, find partners that don't care about what your background is. If I can just say that I was able to find a co-founder, a partner, Anthony, that, as I mentioned, we didn't particularly care about whether he was male or I was female or what our backgrounds were. Find partners and mentors who can help you along the way. It's a very broad question, so that's the best answer I can give right now.
What do you think about the conflict between the Grab and Vietnamese local taxi?
Can you elaborate more around that?
Yes, there are some problem in Vinashan Taxi and Grab. What do you think about this conflict and how to solve this problem?
So, okay, I'll share a bit more around the context as to what the environment is that we're operating in, what we've been trying to achieve at Grab, and why there are differences of opinion, right? I think if you think about what Vietnam is trying to do, we started a conversation here where Vietnam has a lot of opportunity. PM Phuc is very, very much invested into Industry 4.0. His Excellency and his ministers are all equally trying to think about how can we innovate and bring Vietnam forward with technology and digitization, right? Difficult word to say. Basically, what can we do to innovate for our customers more? And if you think about what Grab has been trying to do since 6-7 years ago, that's the exact same thing. How do we build an open technology platform that can help customers get access to what they need, what they want, faster and better? Now, that is where we started. And if you think about transport and taxis, right? How we have been doing this is we've been trying to provide that technology platform to as many partners as possible who believe in that same vision. So that was something else I talked about earlier as well. The partners that we tend to tie up with are the ones that want the same things. They want innovation, they want a path forward, they want to serve their drivers, their passengers better. And we found many of them, right? Whether they're transportation companies, co-ops, taxi companies, many of them work with us today, and we continue to reach out tomorrow to see who else we can help. At the same time, not everybody agrees with that approach, right? And some parties still tend to look at historical ways of working and want to protect those ways of working. As a pro-innovation company, we don't believe in protectionist models. As a pro-innovation company that's trying to support a pro-innovation agenda for any country that we're in, we want to encourage an environment where competition is fair, where customers get to ultimately choose what is best for them, and let as many options thrive as possible without regulating any one specific use case or other, right? So if that helps, that's basically what we care about, what environment we're operating in, and why there are differences of opinion, and what we need to optimize for.
You said that Grab won the competitive market, but Grab will fight by some government for decrease the competition. It's like Singapore or Philippines. What's your opinion? Some government fight Grab, and they said that the competition will decrease after the Grab acquisition of Uber.
To be very specific, we've never asked for less competition. What we've asked for is a fair level playing field. And what we've asked for is the ability to let the competitive markets and competitors let things play out naturally, right? What do I mean by that? In any competitive market, there are going to be customer preferences. One player will get a preference over the other, right? And we need to be given the space to forge partnerships. We need to be given the space to do M&A, or we need to be given the space to continue fighting, right, for customer needs. And I think that's ultimately what has happened. Uber is now a very, very helpful partner. Dara sits on our board. We learn a lot from them. They learn a lot from us, and together they are now one of our largest shareholders, right? And we did that after many years competing for customers together. And then we ultimately learned actually the best path forward is for us to forge a partnership, right? So that was one of the outcomes. There were many other outcomes where, customers continue to choose different alternatives over us, and we continue to provide options to the market. So please, I want to clarify, we've never asked for less competition. We've just asked for a fair, level playing field where everybody's allowed to iterate, test, innovate, and let the customers ultimately decide. Okay.
We have to clarify that the Philippines government didn't verify this.
More questions.
Oh yeah. And also the Philippines government ultimately said, hey, Uber, Grab, you guys, that merger made sense. Please continue, and thank you for continuing to help make the lives of Filipinos better. Thanks.
What staff fuel is Grab investing in? What staff fuel is Grab investing in?
Staff fuel?
Startup, Grab is investing in.
Hold, and we'll talk about it later on stage. Okay.
I'm very happy with today to be.
Thank you so much.
Leading to the startup celebration.
Yes. I do have to apologize. My voice is starting to disappear, and I need to say some of it for stage. Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope that was helpful.
Thank you for joining.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll see you guys again, but downstairs. Cool?
Thank you.
Come then.
Thank you.
Wow. I'm losing my voice. Yeah.